Welcome to the Mount Pleasant Podcast, featuring discussions and interviews about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant such a special place.
This is the Mount Pleasant Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Cleary, and all thanks to the great people of Mount Pleasant Magazine, I get the honor, the privilege of introducing you to Mount Pleasant, the people who make it such a special place to do business, to work, and even to live. We're introducing you to Mount Pleasant's best on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. The first Saturday each November, a bunch of riders pedal their way up the Ravenel Bridge, down the other side, in through Mount Pleasant. It's an event that's called LOWVELO, and it's our subject today here on the Mount Pleasant Podcast, where we go a little deeper than we're able to go on the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine. I'm Brian Cleary. The director of LOWVELO is Winn, who joins us. Chris, let's start with this. The name LOWVELO. What does that mean? Where does that come from?
Sure. It's a great question. We get it all the time, actually. It's a hybrid word we made up. It's an abbreviation of low country and velo, which is the French word for bike or to take a ride, right? It's a verb. So LOWVELO is a low country ride, and it's to do a lot of good for the Hollings Cancer Center.
And let's break down the event, because LOWVELO is a ride, but it's more than just one ride. There's multiple rides that happen as part of the event, correct?
Absolutely true. In the name of making sure it's approachable to as many people as possible, right? We want to take a bike ride through the low country. That could be a 7-mile ride on a cruiser bike around Isle of Palms and Sullivan's Island, all the way up to an 80-mile ride out through everything from Charleston, Mount Pleasant, Isle of Palms, Sullivan's Island, all the way through the Francis Marion National Forest and back.
So you do get some serious riders who are part of this. And rumor is that you even had entries in LOWVELO that rode in the Tour de France?
That is correct. We're very fortunate. We've got George Hincapie, who is a former domestique on the U.S. Postal team. He's been a ride ambassador and leads our 80-mile ride every year, all the way through town and all the way out to the woods and back to the finish line.
And at the end, and the whole basis of LOWVELO, this is a fundraising event for the Hollings Cancer Center. So riders are actually, I guess, raising money to help win the fight against cancer. That's the
plan. So it's a non-competitive event, right? It's not a race. We're not timing anybody. You've got all day to do it. We've set the day up where you can find a challenge that you feel good with. And as much as it's about the physical movement and riding a bicycle, it's also about the inertia and the movement of the research that's happening here at the Hollings Cancer Center. And so every rider, you can sign up for free. There's no registration fee, but we ask everybody to raise some money that's going to go to research happening right here in the Low Country.
And as I said before, you've got some serious riders on the longer ride. Not everybody goes up over the Ravenel Bridge, because that loop that takes you around the Isle of Palms and Sullivan's Island, that's nice and flat.
Nice and flat. The biggest hill you'll have there is the Breach Inlet.
Which I can handle that myself.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Now, you yourself are a rider of sorts, right? You're too busy, obviously, to ride in LOWVELO, but you've put in some miles on your bike.
Absolutely, and I love this event. That's actually how I came into contact with LOWVELO back in 2019 when the ride started. I was a willing participant and fundraiser, and for as long as I've been riding, Brian, I should be a lot better at it, right? But my spirit animal is far more donkey than thoroughbred. So I've never been fast, but I've certainly been a recreational rider, and I appreciate how much you get to see the rhythm of a bike ride, the pace of a bike ride, and it's certainly a good place to think and feel good and stay healthy.
And for all our talk here this morning about the 4 different rides and the 80-mile ride, you can participate in the event without actually riding a bicycle on the course.
Absolutely true. Right. Again, the main mission for this event, it's a fundraiser wrapped in a bike ride and a couple of celebrations. And if you don't feel comfortable on a bicycle, you can participate from home. You could give yourself any physical challenge you want, and you can register as a part of the home team. But we have spin bikes that you can register for. You have island rides, both 7 and 14 miles, that are cruiser bike friendly, family friendly rides. We have the 23, the 50, and the 80-mile ride that leave downtown that you're very familiar with. And then ultimately, we need volunteers, right? There's lots of ways you can choose to support as we say, we want you to find a way to lean in and do that. So if you can't ride, please volunteer. If you can't volunteer, consider making a donation. But the truth is this entire community has this amazing cancer research and treatment hospital here at their disposal. And so many people have been touched by cancer. So if you can do something, pick the challenge that suits you best, right? Choose your own adventure and join us on November 1st.
In 1982, it was East Cooper Magazine. Now it's Mount Pleasant Magazine. Mount Pleasant Magazine is about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Your community, your magazine. Mount Pleasant Magazine.
You're listening to the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
First Saturday in November, the place to be, LOWVELO, the bike ride that benefits the MUSC Hollings Cancer Center. I'm Brian Cleary, and it's what we're talking about today on the Mount Pleasant Podcast, where the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine come alive. The director of LOWVELO, Winn, joins us. Chris, let me piggyback off what you were just talking about. Research isn't the sexiest thing in terms of raising money for, but the importance of the research done by the MUSC Hollings Cancer Center, how do you put that into words?
It's always a challenge, right? It's not something we're all connected to every day. LOWVELO is interesting because it's a big rolling support group too, right? So you end up with folks out there who've been impacted by cancer right next to doctors and researchers and nurses. We're all on the same streets because we all live in the same town. And when you see some of these researchers, they're pretty sexy. They're not hard to look at. Dr. Du Bois, who's the director of the Cancer Center, he rides every year, and he loves talking about it because just like if you're not in the lab environment seeing these discoveries happen in real time, it's easy to be disconnected or have it feel very abstract. These researchers are in the labs all the time doing amazing things. And when they get a chance to interact with people and talk about it, they're so excited to share the things that they're coming up with. LOWVELO is a great place where that gets to happen a lot. But for everybody out in the general public, research isn't sexy, but they should know that it is really exciting. And there's some amazing discoveries that are happening really fast.
It's one of the cool parts of the event, the participants in there, because I shouldn't put it this way, but it is surprising sometimes that so many people who work at the Hollings Cancer Center come out and participate in the event. But then you mentioned cancer survivors and even family members. And then there are even some people who come out to remember someone they've lost. It's really a community that's in this ride. Absolutely
true. Again, everybody's been touched by cancer, right? In the Venn diagram of people who've been impacted, almost everybody's in there. To have a place to share those experiences, right? Even if it's a chance to recognize you're not alone, that we find that has become increasingly more of a powerful part of the experience for riders with us and volunteers with us. But I'm certainly a fan of bicycles and I've been an event planner for a long time. To everybody's benefit, it's good that I'm not doing your research, right? I'm not a researcher. I'm not a doctor. I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express once, but I'm not qualified. So the best part for me as a participant was, there's a moment there when you're suffering from a loss or a cancer discovery where you feel pretty powerless, right? You don't feel like what do you do? And after the fact, I spent a lot of time when I lost my dad to pancreatic cancer, it felt like, what can I do, right? This has been a very productive outlet for how can I make this better for other people, right? What can I do about it now? It's really as simple as going for a bike ride, which I was going to do anyway, but now we can do it to move the needle.
Chris, you're a great event director, and obviously the fact that this was happening for the Hollings Cancer Center certainly was one of the reasons you're where you're at now. Is there any way you could put into words the importance of the fact that we've got a world-class cancer research center right here in the Lowcountry?
I sure can. MUSC is a big hospital, and there's a tremendous amount of people that live here and work here and do good things here. Hollings is one of 73 National Cancer Institute designated cancer centers in the country, right? And we're working on becoming that's the next level up, a comprehensive cancer center, of which there's only 52. So that requires that you have not just treatment, you've got research, you've got clinical trials, right? You're doing education. The ride itself is a fundraiser for that. We're getting ready to try to build a new building. The money for this ride doesn't go the construction, but it's certainly going to fund the things that are going to happen inside the doors. When it comes to the funds raised for the ride, I mean, when it comes to raising money, every penny that our riders raise goes directly to that research component, right? We've got some amazing sponsors that cover all of our operating costs, right? So if you're coming out for that ride, Brian, and you raise $500, that's $500 that goes directly to research and clinical trials and pilot projects that are advancing cancer care. Kind of a newer statistic, we were looking at funds and projects that LOWVELO has funded since it started back in 2019.
Okay.
And about $1.2 million has been spent on pilot projects. From those pilot projects, not all of them work, right? Not all of them are successful, but it happens faster, and it's really a way to accelerate projects and treatments that would take 10 or 15 years if you had to wait for an FDA approval. So of that $1.2 million we've been able to successfully compile data and results that have resulted in an additional like $24 million in funding for work at Hollings. So it's not just raising money for research now. Our team is doing such good work that they're able to compound that money to come up with really aggressive and productive cancer care.
Saturday, November 1st, a lot of bicycles going to be riding through Mount Pleasant, all for a great cause. They're taking part in LOWVELO, our subject today here on the Mount Pleasant podcast. I'm Brian Cleary, joined by the director of LOWVELO, Chris Winn. Chris, you mentioned the fact that sponsors have stepped up to help out. Let's call them out. Share some of the sponsors who are helping to make LOWVELO a success.
Oh, we've got some big ones. First and foremost, this event wouldn't happen without the BMOC Family Foundation, who, after riding in the first year, have been a staunch financial supporter of this event every single year. They've done a lot of work with Meeting Street Schools and a lot of other charities here in town, but they are the backbone of what keeps LOWVELO rolling right along, right? Johnson & Johnson Insurance has been amazing. First Capital Bank has been amazing. I need to pull up the whole list just to make sure I don't leave somebody out. The Charleston Radio Group has always been instrumental in helping us get the word out, right? The Design Group helps us on the internet. We've got Common House, who make sure we have great libations at the finish line, and Southern Crown distribution partners. Vacay Life is a rental company that brings out 300 cruiser bikes. So even if you don't have your own bicycle, you can come and ride the 7 or the 14-mile ride, and they'll give you a bike and a helmet to use so that you don't have to miss out on the participation just because you don't have a bike.
That's how user-friendly this event is. And the fact that every dollar that I raise as a participant in LOWVELO, I know it's not going to pay somebody's salary. It's going to research. It's going to help the MUSC Hollings Cancer Center. And that's so critical. And that should hopefully motivate more people to become a part of this year's event. Now, if somebody is thinking, yeah, I want to sign up, what's the first step I need to take, Chris?
Lowvelo.org. LOWVELO.org. Check it out. LOWVELO.org is the first place to go to. You can register, you can volunteer right from our main page.
And in terms of a monetary goal for the 2025 LOWVELO event, what are we looking at?
Well, that's a great question, Ryan. So last year we had our biggest ride ever. We had almost 1,900 people participate, both virtually and on the roads. This year we're shooting for 2,400 riders, right, on the home team or on the course. Last year was the first year we broke the $1 million mark. We raised over $1 million last year, which was just unbelievable. And this year, what we're going to try to do is hit $1.4 million. If we can do $1.4 million for research this year, since LOWVELO started, we've raised $3 million. So $1 million of that just came last year. Now we're going to hit 50% of our total fundraising in 1 year. It's just a sign of how many more people are willing to, again, lean in for the cause and help us raise money for the work.
Well, hopefully you will be one of the people that help get us over that 2,400 rider mark, LOWVELO.org. And Chris, have you had the opportunity? A couple of more sponsors. We don't want to miss anybody because sponsors really help make this event happen.
Cruz Subaru, love those guys. Ken French, Robert Cruz have been tremendous supporters. The Intertech Group and Miss Anita Zucker has been helping fund a ride to raise money for cancer long before LOWVELO was a thing. Vinoy Construction, CG42, Johnson & Johnson, the Kopnitsky Family Foundation, Firefly, our friends at Iola Modern are going to bring out some beautiful furniture. So after the ride, you have a nice place to relax and enjoy the festivities. We couldn't do it without all our municipalities, especially not the city of Isle of Palms, who's a sponsor and is a tremendous host for having all of our rides finish right on Palm Boulevard, right there at the municipal parking lot that we take over for a couple of days. The Stingrays are always a big part of our team. TD Bank, Alan Dog Green, and Eddie White. If you haven't met Eddie White, he is a hell of an advocate. Anthony DiBernardo at Swig and Swine is a tremendous fan and advocate, and those guys bring a ton of great food for the Finish Line Festival. Salt House Catering, Red Falcon Inc., Cougar Moving Company, Lime Bikes, Party Reflections, Sunbelt Rentals, Hot Girl Cycle Club. Kylie brings all those spin bikes out to set up our beachfront spin tent, which is such a labor of love. And those spin bikes are heavy, but she'll be bringing 30 of those out for people to take spin classes right there at the finish line, like last year.
It just goes to show what a community event this is, because there's so many people, individuals involved in riding, but businesses. The Low Country comes together when someone asks for help.
It really does. And again, this is your local hospital, right? And there are people here. We live here. We work here. We're trying to make it better here. And if you go to LOWVELO.org and you look at our participation tab, you can see the list of all the sponsors. And I would certainly implore people to take a look there and know that these are people who are putting their money where their mouth is.
Chris, let's wrap it up here, because we've talked about some serious things. We've talked about raising money, the importance of the Hollings Cancer Society. But at the end of LOWVELO, it's a party. Come have fun.
Well, you're right about that. And we're hoping that when people leave this event, they should feel hopeful. We're moving the needle in very fast and meaningful ways, and everybody can be a part of that. And when it's all said and done, cancer's done a lot of damage. Cancer's not going to go away tomorrow, but there is some real indicators that we're getting close. You can do something about it. We hope you'll choose to do something about it. There are a lot of brilliant people working around the clock to make good things happen and make sure future patients have it better than the ones that have come before them. And everybody should be proud as hell of that.
Saturday, November 1st, be a part of it. Whether you're part of the pack of riders coming up the Ravenel and then down the Ravenel Bridge into Mount Pleasant, or you're just making the loop on Sullivan's Island, the IOP, everybody participating makes a difference. LOWVELO.org is where to go. The executive director of LOWVELO, Chris Winn, our guest today. Chris, when are you going to get some sleep between now and November 1st?
I'll sleep when I'm dead. we got work to do. We had a presentation at the hospital a couple of days ago, and the song that keeps playing in my head is Jerry Reed's Eastbound and Down, right? We got a long way to go and a short time to get there. So it's all happening.
Chris Winn, thanks for your time today. Appreciate you being part of the Mount Pleasant podcast.
Thank you so much for having us, and thank you so much for helping us get the word out. We appreciate you, Brian.
And I'm Brian Cleary, thanking you, readers of Mount Pleasant Magazine, and everybody who has joined us today here on the Mount Pleasant podcast.
Thanks for spending your time with the Mount Pleasant podcast, your community, your podcast. Listen to past and future episodes at mountpleasantpodcast.com.